Hey guys. Well, honestly, I'm not really used to this. This is my first YouTube video. Originally, this was meant to be a channel where I talk about football and play FIFA, but it didn't really work out for me and I didn't really post any videos. And then I started reading manhwas and I fell in love with the PTJ Universe manhwas. I actually started with Viral Hit. It was amazing, and I wanted to read more about this. So then I went straight to Lookism when I knew that it was actually the original manhwa of this universe. And I was amazed. It was honestly wonderful. The best manhwa I've ever read. It gets a lot of hate for some reason, too. I don't even know why. And then I started posting on TikTok. I have where I post theories and some other stuff. I have the channel in my description. Go follow or at least just watch the videos if you want. Because actually, these theories are like theories that I think of for like I spent hours thinking about them and trying to make them up. So just please help me a little. Anyways, and today, instead of just posting a TikTok video like I do usually, I actually came up with a plan for a video that I thought would take more than a TikTok video. On TikTok, I don't usually even use my own voice. I just write them in slides. So this is the first time I'm actually talking with like using my voice. And I thought that video needed it. Sorry for the long intro, but since this is my first video, so I thought we would need that. Anyways, this video is about a what if scenario. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it, but I'm willing to make like a series of what if scenarios about Lookism. And this one was actually crazy, so I thought I had to share this. What if Daniel never got his second body? Yeah, I think the plot would actually completely flip. What if someone else got it? Or what if it didn't even exist? Well, let's go with the route where someone else got it, but I don't really know who would get it. Actually, Jiho getting it would be amazing. Like, it would be a really good addition to the plot. But still, it shouldn't make Jiho the main character. Or maybe we have two main characters here, Daniel and Jiho. Because honestly, the way Jiho was treated was it was not it. Also, sorry, as I said, this is my first YouTube video. I'm not a good editor. I'm not really that good at anything related to this stuff. I'm just a guy who loves to share his ideas. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here. Anyways, so that would give us two main characters here, which are Daniel and Jiho. Well, I'm going to talk about Jiho first, since it's not really going to be a long talk about him. Well, I think that he will go through a different route. Instead of turning evil and doing all what he did and being jealous of Daniel, he will actually stay a good person and will finally be able to defend himself. And will probably live a pretty nice life. And will then join the wars against the four major crews. And will still be a really relevant character, actually, because he'll probably be a co-main character. Even at this point in the story, today, at chapter 609. But let's shift to the more important part. Well, here, Daniel would just be a fat guy who got bullied at his old school and transferred to J1 High School, also known as J High in the English translation. And instead of getting a perfect body and using it to go to school, he will go to school in his original fat body. At first, he will be bullied, especially by Zach Lee, since Zach bullied him before he even got to school because he thought he was hitting on Mira. So yeah, that's where it starts. He then goes to school, gets bullied a lot, and gets sick of school again, and decides to go back home to spend some time with his mom. And while he was looking at old photos of his mom, that's where he actually gets to the main plot of the story. He finds a photo of his mom with Jin Young Park. He goes to his mom and asks her about it, and then she gets shocked and like scream at him and told him to not look at her old photos again and just don't think a lot about what he just saw. Of course, after this, he got confused and he was scared because he never saw his mom in this situation before. He never saw her act like this before. So obviously he was shaken. And he decided to dig about this more. He started to try and find more about who this Jin Young Park is. Well, I'm not really sure of the way this will happen though. Well, maybe he will go with Duke to the company where he started singing, and he would find DG, and maybe that would be how he starts digging for Jin Young Park. Or maybe when he's just trying and asking around, Charles Choi will hear about this and tell him about his uncle and how he was a pre-generation legend and all of that. And he will start using Daniel to find out where Jin Young is, since he has been searching for Jin Young for long himself. Daniel will not know of Charles Choi's plans and will not know that he's an evil person and will think he's someone who's helping him. Since he's just the father of a friend of his Crystal's father. Maybe that's actually what happens. Maybe it's actually linked to Crystal. But I'm not sure how that'll happen. Since we know that Crystal got to like... Actually, by the way, I don't think Zoe will like Daniel in this scenario. Although Daniel saved her in her little body, Daniel wouldn't have had the courage if he hadn't gotten his perfect body before. So I don't think he would have saved Zoe in that scenario. And as a result, Crystal will be the female lead of the story now. Anyways, so I think he will get tangled with Charles Choi because of Crystal. After he finds out that her father is a large CEO. I met a CEO of a large company, and he will. Charles will find out that Daniel is digging for information about Jin Young. And as I said before, he will tell him, and then we'll start using him. Then Daniel eventually, somehow, after getting help from people from Charles Choi's company, like Gunn and others, he finds out about Jin Young's whereabouts. He somehow manages to sneak in after getting some training under people who work for Charles Choi. Maybe Gunn, but Gunn will obviously not give him the type of training he gave him before. He will not make him his masterpiece yet. But I believe that while he's fighting Gunn, he'll find out that he can copy, and Gunn will probably notice it and use that, but he will not know of his Ultra Instinct ability yet. Then Daniel manages to find his uncle by the help of Gunn, and he finds him in the Workers' First affiliate, just like what happened in the main story. But of course, this will actually mean that Daniel has a side plot, while people like Zack, Vasco, Eli, and Jiho are fighting against the Workers and the four major crews. Daniel is currently not part of this story yet, as Daniel is currently looking for Jin Young Park. and the people from the main story will have a different goal. So Daniel will probably get tangled with them after he finds out more about what's happening, and will definitely join them in the fight. And I believe in this scenario, Daniel will actually be way stronger, like miles stronger than he is now. He might be pre-generation fighter level, like at the point we are right now. Like if we get to chapter 609 in this scenario, I believe that Daniel will actually be maybe prime Jin Young or prime elite level. Like maybe not that much, but it will definitely be something really high, because hear me out. Like hear what I'm about to say right now. As I said, Daniel is currently in a different part of the story. He manages to find Jin Young and get to the first affiliate way earlier than the people from the main plot, and will eventually find him. But Jin Young will be still having his seizures and going crazy. And after several conversations and trying to convince him that he really is his nephew multiple times, Jin Young finally believes him. And when Jin Young will ask him, "How did you find me?" and he will tell him that it was by the help of Charles Choi, Jin Young will then start going crazy again and keep screaming and getting his seizures, and will tell him that Charles Choi is the root of all evils and he must not collaborate with him in any way. And then, because he has to now fight Charles Choi, since Charles knows where he lives, he decides to train Daniel himself. Since he finds out that he has inherited the copy ability from him, he decides to use Daniel to make him a fighter on at least a high level first generation king, like on the same level as people like Jaegyeon, for example. But of course he will get stronger later on. He will then train him, and since Gun didn't have the copy ability when he trained Daniel and turned Daniel into an absolute monster, now imagine Jin Young training Daniel how to copy pre-generation moves. He will teach him the moves of Gaprion Kim, Shingen Yamazaki, Jin Mujin. Who else? Jin Young himself, all of the moves he copied, the moves of Elite, maybe even teach him how to pull off invisible attacks. Who else? Tom Lee and his wildness trait. He will teach him a whole lot of things. And Daniel will be a fighter with a crazy arsenal, since he has an arsenal of a pre-generation fighter, while he's just a second-generation fighter. And then, after the training is finished, Daniel now has a way better body. He's an insanely strong fighter for his generation. He's probably stronger than most of the fighters from the second generation, since his techniques are way better than normal. And in this scenario, Daniel's copy ability will definitely be way better, since his teacher is Jin Young Park. Jin Young will help teach him how to copy moves perfectly, and which means that his copy ability will be better than Johan, which is currently not canon, since Johan has the better copy ability than little Daniel, but Big Daniel has the better copy ability. He's probably got the best copy ability in the whole series, to be fair. So I believe Daniel's copy ability will be a bit lower than Jin Young, but still higher than Johan's. And with this, of course, Daniel will be insanely strong and can copy way better and more complex moves than most copy users. Then Daniel will go fight Gun. Of course, he kind of has a special spot for Gun, since he helped him in all of this. But he will still see Gun as someone who tricked him and played him into all of this just to find Jin Young. And he decides that he will protect his uncle at all costs. He starts then fighting Gun. And Gun is beating him really badly, but he sees potential in him. He sees him copying moves of someone like Gaprion Kim and his own father Shingen Yamazaki, and of course he's shocked. How can a mere second generation fighter copy moves of pre-generation legends? Gon keeps taking him down, but Daniel doesn't stay down. Daniel is not gonna give up. He has to protect his uncle. Daniel then gets up again. He gets beaten, then gets up again, and this keeps going on for a while. Daniel starts fighting back a bit, but then again he gets beaten. So then he falls unconscious. But he doesn't stay like that for a while. Gon smirks and thinks the fight is over, and is going over to the first affiliate to get Jin Young for Elite. But Daniel suddenly gets up, and guess what? Black eyes, white pupils, it's Ultra Instinct. Gon then starts laughing maniacally and says, "You have it too?" He gets really excited. Of course though, this time the Ultra Instinct is way stronger, since he has the moves of someone like Gaprion Kim and Shingen Yamazaki in his arsenal. So he's really enjoying the fight, since this is actually stronger already than the current little UI Daniel. Maybe not stronger, but at least has tougher moves. He might be slower, but better moves, that's what I mean. Better moves in his arsenal than current Daniel. Gon will then defeat him, but barely, after getting injured badly. He will get really excited. And after Daniel wakes up, he decides not to go over to Jin Young, because he respected what Daniel did, and decides to take Daniel as his disciple and make him into his masterpiece, just like in the canon and like actual story. Gon then trains him for over a month without telling Charles Choi, since he still respects Charles and wants to work under him. Then, after a month, we see Daniel coming back. It doesn't look so different. A bit taller, a bit more muscular, but nothing very noticeable, you know. Then he goes over to his high school friends and starts working with them and tells them that he will help them with whatever they're doing, but they should help him protect his uncle. The story from here, honestly, I haven't thought of much till now. But I think I could stop here and go for a part 2. Not sure if I should stop here though. I could go for a part 2 anyways, since I don't really have much ideas. That's what I came up with for now. But I think that might be a good ending to the video. But I could just add a bit more. Daniel though, although as I said, physically there's nothing really that noticeable on his hardware, but his software has changed completely. Instead of just being a fighter with pre-generation techniques, he will be a master of most martial arts, after Gon trained him for martial arts like Aikido and Kyokushin Karate. He will be able to fight with many different styles, and of course his strength will have gotten way better, and he will be way faster. I don't think he will be able to reach a mastery yet, but I think since he had already awakened his UI before even training under Gon, I believe that Gon might actually help him not master his UI, but control it a bit. Like, he can't really summon it, but when it kicks in, he can kind of control it. He can at least choose his opponents instead of just fighting anyone who's strong. And yeah, that's where we end part 1 of the video. In summary, Daniel is currently on the same level or even a bit stronger than he actually is in chapter 609 of the real Lukism, like the actual Lukism world. Of course, there are a lot of differences. The main character has changed to Jiho. Daniel is currently just a guy with one body, but with an insane arsenal, and probably the peak of the second generation already. For the second part, he will first have some fights with second generation fighters. Then he will even maybe fight some first generation kings, but like the evil ones. He might go to Incheon and Busan way earlier, but no, not Busan, since Jin Rang will still be in prison. A lot of stuff will change. That's for sure. Also, we might see Kite get back to the story way earlier because of what's going on. Maybe James Lee will call him and their plan will happen way earlier, but Charles Choi will still be there, at least for a long while, you know. But since Jin Young knows too much, Jin Young might actually also reveal all of his doings and what he's been doing for all of these years, and he might actually commit suicide way earlier. We will know way more about the story in the future. Also, if there's something you particularly don't like, tell me, who do you think should get the second body? Because I can still change that in part 2. But I just thought Jiho didn't deserve that death, and his character was actually one of the best written characters in Lukism. Also, here I won't really talk about the whole Lukism plot, even in the next parts. I'm just talking about the Daniel part. I can still explain some parts of the actual plot, though, but I will not be going through backstories or any of this stuff. Anyways, see you in part 2. Well, at least if this video gets like anything, you know, because if that doesn't get any likes, then it's tiring, honestly, to think of all of this. I could just post it on TikTok as a mini video. Anyways, tell me what you think in the comments. If you like the video, please like and subscribe to support me and make me more passionate about this and try to post more often, since I'm not sure if I'll continue in this, honestly, but I wanted to give it a try. Thank you for watching. If you're still watching till now, thank you very much, and goodbye.